Put the soldering iron down and actually look at your board. We're diagnosing your signal chain today, and I'm skipping the corporate gear hype entirely. We're going straight to the test bench to break down exactly what's happening to your audio signal at the component level. Because if you actually care about your tone, you need to start looking at it like an electrical engineer, not a consumer. It's the exact pain point every tone nerd dreads: 60 hertz. You drop $300 on a premium, hand-wired overdrive or some vintage fuzz, you wire it into your rig, stomp the foot switch, and immediately your amp starts spitting out this aggressive, oscillating background hum. It completely ruins recordings, destroys your live sound, and honestly makes you think you bought a defective unit. Well, I'm going to give you the clinical truth right now. Your boutique pedals aren't broken. Your power architecture is. Dropping thousands of dollars on meticulously crafted analog gear is mathematically useless if the electrical engineering behind your power circuit is fundamentally flawed. If you're feeding a pristine audio circuit with a garbage power supply, you're actively degrading your own dynamic range. To fix this pathology, you have to understand the physical reality of a ground loop, sometimes called a loop de terra. A ground loop happens when 2 points of a circuit, points that are theoretically supposed to have the exact same ground reference, actually have a non-zero potential between them in practice. When your ground isn't actually sitting at 0 volts, electricity just seeks the path of least resistance. It creates a physical loop that forces stray electrical noise to travel directly through your audio cables. Let's break down the mechanical physics of a standard daisy chain power cable. Step 1. Your high-draw digital delay pedal generates spurious digital noise. Step 2, because a daisy chain connects all your pedals to a single supply output, that noise dumps right into the shared ground rail. Now, step 3 is where the failure actually occurs. That noise needs to get back to the source, so the current doubles back through the ground shield of your audio patch cable. Step 4, that interference rides the audio shield right into the front end of your amplifier as an inescapable 60 Hz hum. Congratulations, you just paid for a boutique fuzz and you're currently amplifying a digital clock signal. This common impedance coupling in an unbalanced audio connection is where the real damage happens. Think about the shared ground wire connecting your driver device to your receiver. Most guitar rigs rely entirely on unbalanced instrument cables, where the shield itself acts as the signal return path. Guitar pickups output low-level analog audio signals, measured in mere millivolts. When that shield is forced to carry stray ground current from a shared power supply, that noise gets directly superimposed right on top of your fragile audio signal. Let's look at the hard clinical data for a second. If just one single milliamp of ground loop current hits a 100 milliohm shield resistance in your patch cable, it generates 100 microvolts of noise. Now, that might sound small to a layman, but in the context of an audio circuit, it's catastrophic. That 100 microvolts completely destroys the decibel noise floor of a professional rig, just burying all your instrument's nuances under a thick blanket of electrical hum. And you know what? It gets worse. Wall warts, power strips, and high-current venue cables are constantly emitting stray EMF, electromotive force. When you combine your daisy-chained power cables with your audio patch cables, you're creating a giant physical circle of wire. When that loop wraps around an ambient EMF field, it literally acts as a single-turn secondary winding of a transformer. That ambient magnetic field induces current directly into your audio path. Building on that physics, you get circulating interference current induced by those exact magnetic fields. The physical area of your cable loop acts like a net. It captures magnetic fields from the room and translates them into an interference voltage. It's simple geometry. The larger the loop area on your pedalboard, the more magnetic field it captures, and the louder that 60-cycle hum becomes. So the crucial takeaway here is the stark contrast in power architecture. A daisy chain is just a single, flawed loop sharing a positive rail and a ground. That means one noisy digital pedal infects all your analog pedals simultaneously. Compare that to a true isolated power supply. What you have there are independent, parallel lines feeding each pedal separately. There are no shared ground paths whatsoever. Zero cross-contamination between circuits. The scientifically proven cure for this mess is galvanic isolation. This means the power supply utilizes electrically independent input transformers for every single output. By doing this, you are completely severing that shared ground path. You're physically locking the electrical noise away from the audio signal chain, and you're blocking any short-term leakage currents from ever reaching your amplifier. Opening up a true isolated power brick on the bench reveals the exact cure right there on the PCB. The transformer takes the AC wall power, lowers the voltage, and provides that critical galvanic isolation we just talked about. The rectifier then converts that alternating current into direct current.
Next, the filtering stage utilizes capacitors to smooth out the DC signal ripple. And finally, the voltage regulator clamps down on that power, keeping the output voltage perfectly steady and bleeding off any excess as heat. The end result of that actual engineering is a perfectly isolated 0-volt reference. And I need to remind you, a true 0-volt reference point on the secondary circuit is the absolute only acceptable baseline for a clean professional audio shield. If your ground isn't sitting firmly at absolute 0, you're just injecting garbage into your tone. It's that simple.
And beyond just the noise floor, cheap power architectures are a literal electrical hazard. If you try to share a daisy chain between a standard center negative pedal and, say, a vintage center positive fuzz pedal, you are applying reverse voltage straight across the chain. That is a guaranteed recipe for catastrophic circuit failure. You will fry your board. Isolated, independent outputs are the absolute only safe solution for mixed polarity designs. Now, let's execute a strict differential diagnosis, because way too many guitarists misdiagnose their own rigs. We have to separate environmental EMI from physical ground loops. If your single-coil pickups are acting like giant antennas, picking up electromagnetic interference from neon signs at the dive bar, the fix is copper cavity shielding, switching to humbuckers, or using a noise gate. But if the cause is a shared power ground creating a non-zero potential, an actual physical ground loop, the only fix is galvanic isolation to break that loop. Which brings us to a major piece of gear mythology that I need to dismantle right now. A noise gate is a band-aid. It is not a cure. Yes, a noise gate fixes environmental EMI when you aren't playing, but a noise gate only masks a physical ground loop because the hum is essentially series mode interference. Applying a heavy gate to a physical loop severely strangles your amplifier's dynamic response. You have to clamp down so hard just to kill the 100 microvolt noise floor that you completely destroy your instrument's natural sustain in the process. Even when you invest in isolated power, you still need to practice sound electrical engineering on your pedal board to mitigate any residual induced current. Keep your unbalanced audio cables as short as mathematically possible. Group them tightly together. And most importantly, physically distance your audio lines away from power supply transformers and wall warts. By doing this, you drastically minimize the physical footprint of the cable loop area, which drops your noise floor even further. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to ask yourself the next time you plug in. Are you guessing or are you engineering? Throwing boutique pedals on a board with a cheap power supply and just hoping for the best is a guessing game. It is time to start treating your rig with the exact precision, calculations, and respect of a bench technician. Stop masking your electrical failures and start addressing them at the source. Stop guessing. Start engineering your tone. If you want more clinical teardowns of the gear you actually rely on, subscribe to the Tone Manual. Until then, ask yourself, are you actually hearing what your $300 pedal sounds like, or are you just listening to your power supply? We'll see you at the next explainer.